Man, what's good with it? I just recorded a video, making breakfast for my girl. It's 11:37 in the morning. 11:37 in the morning. And in that video, I was kind of talking about like maturing, right? As a man, right? Maturing as a man, right? And like I was saying, right? Sometimes it could take us a little bit more time to mature, right? I don't want to speak for everybody, right? I don't want to speak for everybody. And the reason I say this, right, is because there's times, right? There's times where I catch myself, bro, doing things, right, that I used to do, like when I was young, right? When you're young and you just don't know no better, right? But as life goes on, right, and as we're living this life, right, like it don't make no sense, right? And it don't make no sense. And not only that, right, in the sense of like, bro, when you do the same thing over and over, bro, and expect different results, it's just, bro, that's tough, right? That's a tough thing within itself, right? Because it just doesn't work like that. It just doesn't work like that. And not only that, right, doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result, or thinking that you're gonna do it different, or is this, I'm gonna change this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, right? But at the end of the day, right, you keep going, or not keep going, you keep getting the same result of failure, failing. And now don't get me wrong, right? That is just a part of life, right? You live and you learn. You live and you learn. Now, sometimes you live and you don't learn, right? You don't learn. You're hard-headed in your ways, and you keep doing the same. Like I said, you keep doing these same things over and over. Like I said, expecting a different result, right? And then lately it's crazy, right? Because I've been hearing this a lot from a lot of people, right? And with me, it don't make no sense, right? Because I've been hearing this, like I said, I've been hearing this a lot, right? I've been hearing this a lot, and people say it's not what you do, it's how you do it. All right, I get it, right? And it's messed up, right? Because obviously, like, everybody's in a different time. I mean, it's all the same time, right? But everybody's in a different time in a mindset in their life, right? And I've been hearing that a lot lately, right? It's not what you do, it's how you do it. And maybe the younger me would be like, okay, But now that I've been through whatever it is I've been through it so much. And like I said, it's trial and error, right? Doing the same, you gotta learn, right? And sometimes you gotta learn the hard way. Sometimes, you think that you master something or whatever, right? And it takes a hard fall for you to wake up and for you to like acknowledge, like, okay, you know what? Because I'm doing, it's like I'm doing this, but I'm doing it this way. Like, nah, man, nah. I feel like that's just an excuse. You don't want to live like that. You don't want to live by that, like, by that motto. You know what I mean? Or by that, it ain't what you do, it's how you do it. Nah, man. Nah, bro. I think it's what you do. It's what you're doing. You gotta, it's like that, right? What is it that you're doing, right? That's either helping you or either holding you back, holding you down, stunting your growth from being able to, and like I said, bro, it's hard. Like, a lot of people have a good foundation in the sense of like, bro, they got a good family structure. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not trying to be here and blame or this or that. I'm just saying in general, right? Because it's different, right? It's different from what I've been through, and what I'm going through is different, right? Because I don't really have, and it's not that I don't need it, but it's always good, right, to have somebody to let you know when you're doing bad, right? or what's going on. Like when somebody notices something different about you, or if you notice something different about somebody that you love, that you care for, bro, acknowledge it, right? Acknowledge it, and not only acknowledge it, right? Like, talk to them. People be going through things, right? I don't think people like, and this is everybody too. This is everybody, bro. Life ain't perfect, and everybody ain't going through this, you know. Bro, there's people that be going through it, right? Now, don't get me wrong, too. It ain't that bad, right? Because a lot of the times, right, the stuff that we go through and the stuff that we put ourselves through mentally, like, you know, you got to understand that we create these scenarios. We create these problems ourselves with the way that we think, right? And the way that we think, and not only the way that we think, bro, the way that we view things. If you think a certain way, bro, and you speak a certain tone, or if you speak certain words, right, and the things that you speak and it's just always like negative, like, bro, well, of course, right? It's like you have this cloud, right? You have this cloud over your head, right? Because it all starts from here, right? If your mentality, or if your brain mentality, whatever you want to call it, if you're having foggy thoughts, right? If you're having foggy thoughts, unsure, you know, and it all, like I said, like these scenarios that we go through, these problems that we go through, we create them ourselves before the problem is even, you know, before the problem is even acknowledged. Because, you know, right, if you really think about it, right, if you pay attention, right, if you paid attention to every time you did something that you weren't supposed to do, and if you take it step by step, like maybe at the moment, you didn't know that if you do this, if you start going down this way, it could lead to this, right? Or even worse, you know what I mean? Thank God we're here today to talk about it. But I'm just saying though, right? If you go back and you reflect on, there's times that where you failed, right? And you start like kind of like, okay, well, I woke up, I decided to do this, and then later on, I ended up back to square one. Like sometimes, bro, you take 10 steps forward just to take 20, 30 steps back. And don't get me wrong, right? Like, it's not always bad in the sense of like, bro, if you start like really, all right, bro, like, what is the problem? Problem, solution. You know what I mean? And sometimes the solution is just so simple, right? It's just so simple as to, bro, well, stop doing this or stop doing that. It's easy, right? But we make it hard ostrselves, right? But like I said, by the thoughts, right? And sometimes, don't get me wrong, there's certain things that probably do got a strong grasp on our mind, on our minds, on our bodies, and on, you know, on our bodies, on our spirits, right? Whether if it's just something like that, whatever it is, right? Because it's a lot of things, right? It ain't just one thing, right? You got to understand that you're failing in one area in your life, but that carries over to the next area in your life. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's relationships, because if you're struggling internally with something, right? Like I said, right? Whatever's affecting you, it carries on to the next aspect in life, whether it's relationships, work, or whatever. Because if you have a personal problem, you go to work, right? It's gonna show. Or not only work, right? With just the relationships that you have, right? With your family members, with your peers, with your friends. You know what I mean? It's gonna show. Eventually, things come to light, right? And when you try to like hide something from other people, it really don't make no sense, right? Because at the end of the day, right, You know, only you know. I don't know. I know what it is that I have to do in order for me to live a good life. And not only live a good life, bro, be happy and being happy and being happy, being at peace, not only with yourself, right, but with the people around you, right? And like, don't get me wrong, right? I get it, I understand, bro. I make mistakes, bro. I make mistakes. The reason I talk about this, right, is because lately I have been making a lot of mistakes, right? I've been making a lot of mistakes. And but acknowledging when you're wrong, bro, is probably step number one, and it's probably like the most crucial step, right? Because after that, after you acknowledge that you're in the wrong or whatever it is that you're doing wrong, then you start looking for solutions, right? Start looking for solutions. Easy way, people, places, and things, right? Hanging around certain people or certain places, doing certain things, right? It's just because you gotta understand too, what I do, what works for me, it might not work for you. What works for you might not work for me, you know? So just take into consideration, right? And also too, bro, it's baby steps, right? It's baby steps, right? It's doing something today, something small today that's gonna help you, because it was small today, but it's bigger tomorrow, you know? It's whatever it is you did different today, whether good or bad, tomorrow will be even worse. Either worse or it'll be better. Because if you do something today that's small, that's bettering your situation, tomorrow you're gonna do it the same way. You're gonna do it again, right? Tomorrow you'll do it again, right? But it's another baby step. So that little step, tomorrow it'll become another little step. But you see how it's just one step, just one step today, one step tomorrow, boom, 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 boom. You see how you start building that gap? Now, like I said, right, you could do one step towards something good, or you could do one step towards something bad. It just depends on your outlook at life. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like I said, man, if you wake up, you didn't wake up for no reason, right? There's a reason, right? For everything that you do, there's a reason behind what it is you're doing, whether it's good or bad, right? Because like I always say, right? Trauma, bro. Trauma, right? Trauma. Sometimes we live life, right? And we're dealing with trauma that we just never looked face to face and never figured out why or what. Bruh, you gotta revisit the past. You gotta revisit your past, right? And you have to find a way to just deal with things and close those chapters in your life, right? Peace.